from Chainlink to art. And it's a big pleasure for me to introduce one of the edgiest art curators in the crypto space in Italy, and great friend of mine. And she also collaborated with the renowned artist Ai Weiwei. Please give a big applause to Eleonora Brizi from Brizi Art.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much for having me and for being here. I know that you're all thinking that we don't need to talk about art in this conference, but I don't agree with you. I think that to talk about art is always a good idea. And even for development, for technology, for the reasons that we are all here for, I believe that art is always, like at the forefront of everything. It's the only way for which is very easy for people to understand a bunch of code or AI or blockchain or DAOs, everything. Art makes it very possible for people to digest and to progress together, to experiment, to really understand the concepts behind, I think, all the reasons for which we are all here. But I'm not going to talk about NFTs. I'm going to give you historic background about NFTs, but I'm not going to, explain to you what NFTs are, because God forbid we all know. My name is Eleonora, and I am, computer. I am a crypto art curator, for whatever that means. I have started my journey with in the magic world of art and the blockchain in New York in 2018. Before I was in China, as Matteo was mentioning, I worked for the artist Ai Weiwei and for a curator, and then at a certain point, I think the atmosphere that I experienced in Ai Weiwei's studio, that you all know is a dissident, was really that of freedom. And in 2018, I moved to New York to see what was going on. And I think that I found back that spirit of freedom in the crypto art space, which at the time was really like a big space for freedom of experimentation and freedom of creativity. So I founded Brizi Art, which really is, as it says, like an art curation habitat. My first encounter with the art and the blockchain were the Pepes and Rare Pepe project, which I heard about in, again, like September 2018. And when I heard about this project, I thought that this was the most creative and free space for art and for, again, freedom of expression that I've ever heard about in the past years. And so I started from there and I never left. But as I was mentioning, so in this talk, I would like to talk about the future and really like maybe to get feedbacks and to see if we can do things together. I think that this is the right place to do that for as many creative people that we have here and coders and other people from the ecosystem. But just, before going to the future and to understand the future, we need to know our past. And it seems like today we are forgetting a little bit where we are coming from and why we are here. And, that promise that the blockchain was created for sometimes is a little bit lost. So just to give you a little bit of, again, background, last year, Dada, and I was the curator for the retrospective. We created the historical NFT festival that happened in Barcelona in October. And basically we did a research combining the already existing timelines that the NFT archaeologists created. We combined them and we covered the time from 2011 up to 2019. So you understand before the boom of NFTs, and combining all these timelines that were, some of them were more focused on like protocols or gaming, not only about art, like all kinds of NFTs. Starting from 2011, we really realized that there was so much more experimentation back then than now. And it was very, even for people who have been in the space for a long time, it was fantastic also to understand like how things really have changed during the time. So I'm not going to go through this entire timeline. I am inviting you to come to Milan to the Meet Digital Culture Center, where I am curating this. It's not a retrospective. I wanted to call it a perspective because it's a Dada perspective. So Dada is a platform. They are pioneers of NFT space. It's a platform, a digital platform where people, you sign in and artists like talk to each other through drawings. So what you have, it's like visual conversations. And Dada was born in 2014, and in 2017, they started to use the blockchain. And again, it is very important for us to talk about this even here, which is not an art space, because Dada are the ones who coded the royalties for the first time. So in 2017, they talked to the punks, to the crypto punks, and the crypto punks gave the code, and they used their code for they modified the code a little bit, they use it for their historical collection, and being a collective, an artist collective, they thought, how are we going to capture value in the future for this group of artists? Maybe we could code something that if in the future the artworks are going to be resold, artists can capture value. And this is how royalties were born. So they were born before the platforms that we know about. So then you see, of course, the Pepes, and I'm not going to go through this. I think that I'm going to tell you a couple of things which I think are very important, again, to understand where we are at right now. In 2015, there was this video game which was called Spells of Genesis, and it was fantastic. We did a Twitter space with Joe Looney, who's the creator of the Pepe wallet and one of the Rare Pepe scientists. Rare Pepe is from 2016 on the Bitcoin blockchain, Spells of Genesis as well, and Rare Pepe is on the Counterparty protocol. And what we discovered, which was so interesting, is that what Spells of Genesis did for this space, and again, for the reasons why we're all here, is that at a certain point, there were a lot of like groups on Telegram, and people were talking about how to exchange these cards for the game, until a day when someone said, well, but can I actually like own this digital card? Why am I not owning this? Why are we playing a video game and we don't actually own it? How can we do this? And that's when the cards were tokenized. And for the first time, there was like a, mind switch, and people started to collect digital assets. I mean, they understood that these digital cards could be exchanged and owned. And this takes us to the Rare Pepes, that it was the other huge switch. And what happened was that, okay, so now we understood that we can exchange digital cards, we can own it. Obviously, they were exchanging for fun at the beginning. There was not so much money involved. But then for the Rare Pepes, Mike, who created the first card, which is the Nakamoto Pepe, and then one day he put the card in the Telegram chat, and then, people said, well, but you created your own card? And he said, yes. And I think that you guys can create one too. And that was the huge change where people, from the web, started to create their own digital cards that were tokenized on the blockchain. So you see that all these projects like influenced really like immutably and forever what we're doing today. So this is why it's very important to understand this. And this is part of this is the content from the HNFT festival. And now I was saying that it's displayed also in Milan at the Meet Digital Culture Center, where I curated this show about Dada. So we have like physical artwork about the Dada king, and then we have the contextualization in history. There is a research point where you can, because from October until now, we had people at Dada checking all the entries of the 4 combined timelines on chain, because there were mistakes But also, we were talking to the different NFT archaeologists or historians. There is a debate about this. The archaeologists don't want to be called archaeologists anymore because apparently they were accused to shield their NFTs. So maybe historians, but this is a different kind of debate. And so I would say we had these people like checking all these entries, and we also realized that it's not about mistakes, but it was more about like, what are the parameters for which Martin Lucas Ostoszewski created his timeline, or Leonidas created his timeline, or these other people like White Rabbit, right? So someone like considered the deployment of the smart contract. Someone considered the first time that the smart contract was actually used to create an NFT. Someone other considered like the day of public launch. So there is a research position at the MIT Digital Culture Center in Milan, where you can sit and you can research and you can verify all the history of NFTs from 2011 up 2019. And of course, you see the CryptoPunks. The CryptoPunks who probably the 99% of people who love the CryptoPunks or who know the CryptoPunks didn't really understand that it was one of the biggest revolution we've ever had in a digital space. What CryptoPunks did is, again, the reason why we are all here. They almost launched the standard ERC-721. They didn't, but they started it, and it is generative. It's on chain, and then they created a marketplace which is like autonomous, and then people can use however they want to. I was having a drink with Matt and John, who are the creators of the CryptoPunks, a month ago in Paris, and I was complaining, said that I was very sad, that I think that the CryptoPunks became famous for the wrong reasons. And the answer of the creators of the CryptoPunk was like, you have to relax. The whole purpose of an independent marketplace is that we wanted for people to use it however they want to. So they're very much in peace with that. But just, we shouldn't forget about them or just think that they're PFPs. And yeah, they invented the PFP movement as well. And then many other things that you see here, you can see that there is like a big change in 2018 where all the platforms are going to be born. And then in 2019, it's art. There are many dots with art until getting today. And I do love NFTs, and I fought for this. But then what we see today, unfortunately, is a little bit of, I think, relaxment. And, now we really understand, yes, that it is a certificate to authenticate digital artworks. And so everyone is just doing digital artworks and put it on the blockchain. So for me, and for what I want to do, I think with, these are just, when I'm going to talk, you can see this. These are 3 videos that we created with all the images and content that I found for all the entries of the timeline. But I was saying that I think that it's time for phase number 2, and that we should keep pushing the space and see what we can really do with the blockchain, which we haven't been using very well, or at least we have been using for a very, very little percentage of its potential. This, you can just email me or text me, and I can send you all these videos. These videos are also on display at the MIT Digital Culture Center. And even so crazy projects, like in 2018, it was like NFT projects about anything. Even there was even like CryptoTitties. It was literally everything, like VIPs and etc. And then we get to 2019, and you will see that we are switching more towards fine art. That's Pascal Boyard. But again, I don't want to waste your time, so I can provide you with the videos. So what I want to really talk about today after this introduction is, what can we do from now on with the blockchain? Of course, through art. And again, because if we do it through art, even we, you developers or creative coders, we can really like understand better altogether the direction that we're going, that is gonna push the space again without being paralyzed in this whatever happened in the NFT space because of marketing, and all the art world realities that came into the space. I think as a crypto art curator that the phase that I really want to be part of and what I want to create and the next step is to start thinking about art created with the blockchain, through the blockchain, on the blockchain, so to the blockchain as a medium. There are very few artists who are doing that, and they're fantastic. It's cool, and we'll see together how this can help like the entire ecosystem. We're here for Ethereum, and I think that all these projects, I mean, one is on Polygon, but pretty much everything is on Ethereum. Really, let's see together a few examples of how we can all like take from these artists and progress together. This is Ria Meyers. This is a very old art piece. This is actually on Bitcoin, but it's just to give you an example of how you can actually use the blockchain not only to certify something that you created. This is obviously very ironic. It's a proof of existence. And basically, she plays the Ash of God on the Bitcoin blockchain, which obviously means that God exists. So these are one of the first experimentation. I think that it's from 2014. And another very cool project that she did is this is on the Ethereum blockchain. And I think that we should concentrate on what these projects are teaching us, again, as an ecosystem, but also like as society. So for instance, this is like a democratic palette. It's from 2016. And what she did, so you have a palette of 12 colors. And you can vote for every color on the Ethereum blockchain. And what you pay is the gas fee to vote. And so you can see that what she's talking about is participatory, decentralized art and aesthetics interacts with barriers to participation and the ability to buy democracy. I think the reason why I am here is because I thought, and I still think, maybe we should have used it a little better, that the blockchain can, and it might sound a little cheesy, but I mean, can actually create a better world, a more fair world, more distributed. And with projects like this, which are very simple, you can see how you can actually like buy democracy through Ethereum transactions. It's just a social experimentation for us to understand that we can vote for a color palette. Another artist that I want to talk about is Sarah Friend, and then I'll talk about a project by Primavera De Filippi. In this case, these two projects are both Sarah and Primavera that developed two life forms that exist on the blockchain. Sarah Friend did it through NFTs. So these life forms are NFT-based entities. Primavera is blockchain. It's a smart contract. It's not an NFT. And so Sarah is telling us that as any living thing, even these NFTs, they need our care and our attention and to take care of them for them to survive. So imagine it's the creation of these NFT life forms is open to the public. And then imagine that you have this NFT in your wallet. And after 90 days, I mean, you have a maximum of 90 days of time to pass it to another wallet. Otherwise, this life is going to die. So it is, developing, encouraging, and talking about social responsibility through the blockchain, through an artwork. And once that it dies, you cannot get it back. It's burned, it's gone. So if you want to create an NFT, then you take a responsibility for it. And we take a responsibility for this technology, for the reasons why we created it, and we do it through art. And this, you can see, these all the life forms and just a way she displayed it. And then we have Primavera De Filippi, who is an artist. She's also like a huge researcher and about the blockchain, DAOs and governance at Harvard at the Blockchain Center. But she created in 2015 this fantastic artwork that I'm going to talk to you about after this video that I'm going to show you. So this is the plantoid. So you see the plantoid, it resembles a flower. It's like a plant. And the same way that a plant needs to be nourished, and then it also needs bees to reproduce, the same way this plantoid, which is a mechanical artwork, it's a sculpture made of metal and recycled material. The plantoid needs us to, for in order to survive, to replicate, to reproduce, because any alive, like any life form, needs to reproduce itself, and the plantoid, to reproduce itself and live, it needs for us to interact with it. How do we interact with this physical sculpture? Through the blockchain. This is fantastic. This is a blockchain life based, again, like on the blockchain. So the way it works is that instead of giving it water, you give it a transaction. So every time, for instance, there is a plantoid displayed in Rome, and every time you feed the plantoid with a transaction through OpenSea, the plantoid is actually going to move. So it's going to come back to life. And when it moves, it creates music. So if the artist is around, or if people are around and they want to help the plantoid to actually create music, good. But if the plantoid is by itself, it's going to create music, and what you're going to receive is an NFT with music created by the plantoid. There are many plantoids that obviously the way that they interact is different based on what the smart contract was made for. I really encourage you, like, I'm not going to give you the full explanation of these projects, but they're all online. The plantoid is a fantastic project that keeps changing. It just got updated, and now it has this function for the music, but there are different plantoids. But also, I think that this project speaks to really, like, again, social responsibility, but also to understand that this technology is something very alive that we created, and we created it for certain reasons that shouldn't be forgotten. So we should take responsibility, and in this way we can take responsibility through beauty. So I think also, obviously, I am a believer that, through art, and again, through this kind of understanding, many other things can be developed. I mean, the plantoid itself is a DAO. People who buy, and I encourage you to read about it. There are a few plantoids that are like, you have like the possibility to make the decision for a plantoid at the beginning before it's finished. Then the plantoid is autonomous. It's all experimentation about governance and DAO and the blockchain through artworks. And then the final artist that I want to talk about is Operator, who also had a very beautiful use case of the blockchain. Just 2 days ago, they did this drop on Art Blocks, so it's a generative artwork. So what they did is also very fantastic. It was a historic day for choreography and for generative art and for like art on chain. They actually created physical choreographies through human body, because Operator is a duo. One is a choreographer, performer, and which is Anya, and Dija is a technologist. And so creating these performances, they put it on chain, and through the code, they also change the actual performance. And then they use physical materials to create this kind of output. But what it actually is that these choreographies that are not revealed until the moment you actually mint the NFT. Of course, it's generative. It's an algorithm. It's on our block. So until you mint, that didn't even know how it will look like. But then what you actually collect is this fully on-chain choreography that you can also choose people and performers to perform it. And I think that one of the really revolutionary takes of this project is that, for instance, at the beginning, operator, they were talking about oral tradition, and now it gets passed from person to person, and how sometimes they change. So, but somehow it is kept. And they were thinking about how are we going to pass from person to person, about choreography. How are we going to keep choreography, for instance? And they found a way, which is very, and I'm going to show you the output. They're fantastic. You can see the actual performer. You can see they play with glass, X-ray, light, and different materials. So also this function of passing to people who will come through the blockchain, having something which is fully on chain, and in this case is a performance. Yeah, so this is just a few examples of artists who are using the blockchain for art to actually push not only the crypto art space, but to push society, to push, code. This was the last project that I showed you was we had the coder talking about how he dealt with performance on chain, and it was crazy. And how, they are using art to actually start using more and more and more of the potential that the blockchain has and that wasn't used until now, again, to change things. I would say let's build the future together. I'm happy to be here today because I think the way that I see also the near future artworks and artists and art projects are not made by one single artist anymore. I think that, of course, we will always have single artists creating art, but the most innovative project that we will see, I am convinced, will be created by groups of people with different expertise and with different ideas. And I believe in creative coding, and I believe that we should all work together for that. This is BAM, and it's a project. It's a new project that I want to work on as I think my role in this space, which is I decided is that of keep pushing. So this means blockchain as a medium, and I want to try to create a group of not only artists but creative coders, and really many different expertise to come together and work on projects that can push all the different corners and perspectives of this beautiful space that we have and that we didn't. There's still a lot that we could understand. So if you have any ideas and you're interested in using the blockchain as a medium, even if you're a coder, we really need you. And I will just say to come all together. This is just an invite to come to Milan. The show opened on May 10. It's going to be on until June 18. And on June 13, we're going to have a theater night in Milan, and Dada is going to present the platform, but also there's going to be a light drawing performance, and Primavera De Filippi will be there to talk about DAOs and governance. It's really not to be missed. I will also give a guided tour. This is just a quick video of how the show looks like. This is all the different rooms. So you go upstairs. This is the research room, historical NFT room where you can spend years looking at the content. The data room where there are the intrinsic values that are behind the new revolutionary thing that they're creating, which is called invisible economy. And this is the immersive room. This is the core and the heart of the space and the show. And it took 6 months to organize and curate this show, the immersive room that I really invite you to come to see. We introduced something that never happened at the meet, which is this fourth wall. So it's like pieces of organza coming down from the ceiling when we are projecting, giving the idea of hologram, which is not a hologram, it's just projections on organza. But what it is that you see like the grammar of Dada is this dichotomy between what's visible and what's invisible, which was also the reason why we organized the historical NFT festival, is because behind every transaction, behind every NFTs, there are so many people, so many connections and influences, like a net, really like a human net, and also a net of ideas and innovation that too often we don't see. And so here it is the same thing. You see all this beautiful visual conversation, but that the invisible part, when we have a blackout, we go back to the doodles, which is the primordial creative act that everyone can do. And that's what the hologram is about. But anyways, enough of me talking. I hope that I gave you some hope. If you are bored or you think that the space is a little paralyzed, we should all contribute, not to make it this way. So I'm here if you want to contribute, and so this will be my next step. Thank you for listening.